Welcome back, another day, another vlog. Hope you're all well on this Wednesday evening. Sorry for the delay, it's been a bit of a mad rush getting set up after work, first shift at work. Bit of chaos, no power in the shop, so had to do a bit of shuffling. We eventually got sorted and thank God it wasn't a busy day, so that was sort of good in one aspect, I guess. But yeah, always first day, you got to get here, up at 3:30, get home from work at 6:30 at night, drag all your bags that you have to take to work with you now, back to your room, unpack all that stuff, talk to family, then try and get you guys sorted. So my apologies if a bit late. Obviously last night didn't do anything much on the video front or anything like that. As I said, I've got not going to be a photography one out this week. I'm going to be working hard on some other stuff that I need to get done. So I'm probably going to get a bit of that done tonight. See how I feel. See how I'm pretty smashed today after all the travel and running around. So yeah, very subdued day, I guess, in that regards into my sort of side of things. I'm definitely going to need a bit of this to keep me going if I'm going to get anything done tonight. But there was some interesting stuff over the web today, so we'll just get straight into the news and talk about that. Not much from iCast today. Looked like similar sort of stuff. There was a few new lures come out and nothing too exciting. So I think day 3, the last, should be, I'm sure it's, I think it's good tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll do a bit more of an update and go in and delve a bit more once I get a bit more time to just suss out what's different from day 1 and 2. And see if there's anything new to worry about. So, but I mean, yeah, look, there's stuff there. It all depends on what you're looking at. So, as I said to you, I think yesterday, I sort of a little bit biased in the fact that I'm looking at the fishing side in regards to our team and get more so towards Barra and maybe some offshore stuff as well. So, I guess we're a little bit spoiled in Australia. We've got that option. So, I guess I sort of aim it that way a little bit. So, my apologies if it seems to be just like about certain types of fishing stuff, but I do try to get a little bit of a thing if it's a good idea. But yeah, I didn't have much of a chance to play around with today. I was in a new area. I had my desktop computer on a plastic trolley, on a toolbox trolley, walking around the workshop looking for somewhere to find internet, so it was a nightmare. The R6, Canon R6 radio, so we've had, Canon dropped a release last night about obviously the heating issues with R5 and the R6. R6 has a similar setup to the M50 where it will do I think it'll do the HD or the 4K up to 30 minutes. 23 degrees Celsius. 23 is not real hot, especially for Australia. That's about the only real thing. 23 is not a real, I mean, that might be fine for North America and the Northern Hemisphere, but pretty much 23 is, unless you're in winter like now, now it gets to 23. Most of the time it's 30 degrees or above. So that was a little bit tricky. They do have some updates coming for the R5 as well. They're going to... That's pretty much all coming through. They're going to be putting C-Log 3 on it, which will increase the dynamic range stops. You'll go from, I think, currently 12 with that C-Log 1 up to 14 stops. The dynamic range, would have been good if they had been able to put that C-Log 2 in there, because I think that goes up to 15 or 16, which is the same as what we're going to talk about in a little bit with that Sony. So they did talk a lot about the heating. They put the times in there at the 23 degrees. And obviously you've got to stop and start it. I guess for myself, I was more interested as a camera, and I guess for most photographers, it's more so being a hybrid. I guess which way do you balance it? Do you balance it as a video camera, or do you balance it as a photography? I think it gives you a lot of good things from both avenues, and I think that's what seems to get forgotten a lot. Everyone's going, oh, video, it's not doing this, it's not doing that. Yeah, sure, Canon come out with it, and they were probably reaching for the stars a little bit. Yeah, can you do 8K with it all day? No, not a chance. That's just not going to happen. But being able to do what it can is pretty cool. And it's going to have some limitations. You're just going to have to, like all cameras, M50 only does 30 minutes. Does it bother me? No, because when I first got it, I knew about it, and I can adjust 30-minute segments just to stop. You can see when the red light, when it tells you when it's going to stop recording, then just start another section or rehash a bit. So I think it's getting a little bit blown out of proportion, but yeah, a little bit crazy. But Canon's come out and done a lot in that regards, and basically said that yes, it's going to do this, this, and this at this temperature. Be aware, just set yourself up. Right, so plus with that firmware, there's a couple other things in the firmware, but the biggest thing was that dynamic range. I think that'll be really cool. There was an example, I think, on one website where they had the current 12 stop and the blown out window in the background of a room, and then with the 14 stops you can see outside and clear, so and make that extra 2 stops will, I think, be a big advantage to it. So that was the boys over at Max Tech, so that was pretty cool to see that. And it's good to see Canon come out and being honest, and I guess to say, look, yeah, it has limitations, and here they are, and well, we can't do any more than that. That's what we've got. So right, on to the Sony. Let's talk to Sony. We knew they were coming out before the end of summer. Well, the rumour mill, obviously huge last couple of days on that. I don't know if Sony's intentions were, or somehow as soon as a Canon leaks, suddenly Sony's now got all these specs leaking out. It's quite funny in that regards. Don't know how accurate any of this is, but we'll go through it, and I guess try and make a head or tails out of it. It looks a totally different sort of a setup. It appears like, if this is anywhere close accurate, Sony's definitely gone a different way and looking at a different perspective on how to do things. So I'm just going to run you through what they've put up today on the Sony site. Again, this is not 100%, this is just pure speculation. And it's from the specs, it's pretty wild, similar to what we were getting with the R5. But if it's close to this, I think it's going to be a great camera, because having that competition for the R5 and the R6, it's going to be a really good thing. So it's good for the consumers, and that's one thing that's positive about the whole scenario. Now the A7S III, they're going to have possibly a 12 megapixel sensor with a fast readout. Now I'm not sure exactly what that fast readout means, but 12 megapixel sensor means it's going to obviously less pixels, but bigger pixels. What that is better for low light, is what they're saying. Now this is where it gets a little bit funky, depending on how you read it. So FHD, high definition, 240 frames per second, pretty cool. 4K, 120 frames per second at 10-bit 422, very cool. So obviously the R5, I think the R5 is only 120, so at 240, very cool, great for slow-mo and the B-roll guys doing the video stuff. So very cool, that'll make them happy. 10-bit 422, that'll definitely make them happy, really cool. Now the second part of that line was 4K 120 frame per second RAW, so that's over HDMI. So we're not sure if FHD is over the HDMI, so that basically means to get 120 frames per second RAW, you need to have an external display. So again, there's another $2,000 on top, or whatever it is, so it's a lot extra money, and that's going to be for the pro guys doing pro video. They need that anyway, so they probably already got them. If you were going to buy this camera and then want to get that feature, you'd have to go out and buy, say, there's a ton of them out. What do they call them? Ninjas. I think the Ninja 5s and stuff like that. So bits and pieces like that. 600 megabytes per second bitrate. ISO 160 in S-Log3. That's for video. And max 409,600, which is just insane, and that's in video, nothing on the photo side. Again, it's sort of very early on rumours. 16-bit raw output, so that's pretty cool. 15 stocks dynamic range. So we said the R5 was at 12. they're saying 15 stops of dynamic range. Now that there is probably a big one. That's a huge amount of stops. It's going to give a little bit better for that really bright and those bursts, and that's probably something that's probably more interesting than say 8K or anything like that dynamic range. So they have been listening to people. World's biggest EVF display, that 9.44 million for the EVF. We talked a little bit about the other day as a rumour. Well, apparently that was a confirmed rumour on Sony rumours. I'd say that's probably maybe like it's going to be up there. 9 million's a heck of a lot for an EVF. Great for photographers. And that's where it's sort of things. You've got half the stuff's for video, half the stuff's for photography. It's hard to get. Like, it'd be good if they could split them up into photography specs, video specs, and as it's a hybrid, put a slight big line down the middle so you can actually sort of line it up and get a clear picture to look at straight off. But look, that's really good if you're trying to get some really fine detail in some landscape stuff. Having a really clear EVF is going to be really good for you, especially us old bastards with crappy eyes, so that would be cool. A new passive cooling system, so obviously that's to help with the 4K and whatever, all those high-powered systems for the video, so that's cool. Something that obviously the R5 and R6 is lacking a little bit on. No over temperature and no record limits. Huge statement. Obviously that's one that needs to be 100% confirmed. We heard it was all going to be possible on the Canon as well. We won't know until that actually drops. UHS 2 card support, active screen, and late July announcement, August deliveries. So that's huge. So what are we in? Middle July, 15th, halfway through June. So halfway through the month, they've basically got like 16 days left to announce this Sony. So that's 2 weeks. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to hear about this. That's huge news. And it's going to be available in August. So that's amazing for Sony to really bounce back and fight back in that market. So very cool. As I said, it's way early to get any sort of clarification. I'm sure we'll get little bits and pieces now for the next 2 weeks until it actually releases. But look, if it's half that, I'm excited about that. Dynamic range is pretty cool, and that ISO is awesome. So if you can go up to 400,000, that's going to be some great stuff for night video. And I know I have a heap of dramas when I'm out shooting astro shots. Trying to film that and talk to you without having 65,000 lights out with me to just light me up just so you can see me in the background. So if you get some sort of low light performance, it's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward once I get the new little video camera in to see if that can help better with that. So I think that'll be cool. And look, there's some other great things that no record limit and no overheating. That is pretty insane for what this can do with those high speed things. 12 megapixel sensor. I don't think that's really going to bother with focus stacking and stacking photos, which we do a lot in nowadays. That happens fairly often. You're still going to get a massive quality image. 12 megapixel, you get 2 or 3 focus stacks, you're still looking at 40, 50 megapixel shot, and I think you're getting 12 megapixel out of most phones, and they use those for banners. So you can definitely print large off a 12 megapixel. I don't think it'd be an issue. Now, there's super exciting stuff that came out today, and a little bit disappointed because Australia misses out yet again on all the good stuff. And also the fact that there was no hybrid. The Ford Bronco, if you hadn't seen the news, the new Ford Bronco released overnight. What a beast. It's been many moons since the Bronco was a new car. It's come back. It's got that retro styling. It's very Land Rover Defender, Jeep Wrangler. They're saying it looks like. I think it looks, especially the twin cab looks very sort of Defenderish, that roundish box type shape. Very cool. Got some pretty cool stuff in it. I think there's about, in the American market, there's like 6 or 7 models. It's got all the pricing. Goes from 28,500 for the 2-door and 33,200 for a 4-door, all the way up to the Wild Track spec, which is 49,000 US bucks. Now for that, which is the top, and this thing was an absolute beast, and you would have seen the thumbnail. I'll definitely have one of them on the thumbnail. It looks very cool. 2.7 litre V6 twin turbo. Now I can't remember if that 2.7 is the same that's in the GT, Ford GT, that little V6 twin turbo. So maybe a derated version of that. I'm not quite sure, but that's insane. That'll definitely have a heap of punch. 310 horsepower, 400 foot-pound of torque. 35-inch tyres on it, just insane, on 17-inch bead-lock rims. And this is stock standard, straight off the floor, man, insane. 10-speed auto, 5-seat, you can have up to a 5-seater, removable top and front doors, so a la Jeep. The Gladiator, very similar in respects to that Gladiator. We can remove the roof and the doors and get that off-road functionality and at the beach sort of styling, so that's pretty cool. And it looks really, really nice. I think, it's going to definitely sell a crap ton in the States. Unfortunately, it's starting off only in left-hand drive, so let's hope that it sells enough to warrant getting put into a right-hand drive and sold globally. So did used to sell here in Australia a Bronco. We did have one version sell here a long time ago. I think possibly the 80s was the last time it possibly sold. But yeah, obviously never has been gone for a long while. But this would be definitely, I think, in our market, be a really good seller. Now, the interesting thing about this, and it was strange to see, was Ford have talked about all new models having to have a hybrid model to suit in with global moving into the electric vehicle market. F-150's got a hybrid release this year, going into electric. They're partnering with Rivian, and we've talked about that on many occasions on this channel. We talked about the other day with Rivian doing that big $2.5 billion cash injection, and it's strange that this Bronco, which I thought would have been an ideal vehicle because it's, well, yes, it's going to be off-road, but it's also going to be a lot of beach guys just going from their house with the surfboards on the roof, rolling to the beach, which is going to be a short run, perfect electrical vehicle market. At least a minimum a hybrid option in there, and out of the 5 or 6 models I went through them, and there was no mention at all about hybrid, which I thought was a little bit strange. Very strange. And I think it's something that they may need to adjust. I think that'd be crazy not to have a bare minimum a hybrid and be talking to Rivian. I think Rivian has they've got the station wagon, I guess, or SUV type station wagon. They've got their model of that. So I'm thinking that chassis probably may not cross over into that, but the next model could definitely become an electric, and I think this would be a great way to get into that young youth style market and get electric in there. There's, as you said, the beach goers and all that sort of stuff, the cruisers around town. They're just going to go for a cruise. They don't need massive amounts of range. They're just going out with their friends and just want to be out in the sun and chilling out. So very, very strange, and a bit of a shame, unfortunately, and worse shame that it's not right-hand drive, because yeah, what a nice car. Very, very cool. And that's about it. First day done and dusted. We'll try and get some work done tonight and try and get some other videos done. And we'll see you all again tomorrow. Hope you had a good Wednesday if you're a normal person, not like me. Monday to Friday, you're midweek. So that's done and dusted. 2 days to go and you get your weekend back. And yeah, I'm just starting my 2 weeks straight. Damn. Radio, I'll see you all again tomorrow with some more news. Hope you're all well and safe, and thanks for stopping by. If you're heading that way, I'll see you in tomorrow.